for those of you wondering, like, okay, who is Manoj? He's our Iron Man. He's our Tony Stark, the brains behind AI Avengers. John, for now, he can't be here because of time zone differences, but he would love to be here. And yeah, that's me, Black Panther. You probably know me already. So this is our lab. We always like hop on calls like this to discuss, talk about our sessions. We have about almost 2.5K members, right? So people are online. We always share how to build automations, build agents, and just kind of automate your entire life. Let AI do everything for you. I'm going to start off with why are we in this class? We're here because we want to build our second brain, an AI second brain. And I'm sure you probably wondered, what was that thing I was working on? I can't remember. Many projects. I have so much work to do. And I just wish there was a brain I had that already knew everything I wanted to do on day to day. And I can always catch up with any task, any project I'm doing because I have that second brain. I have that knowledge base, right? So that's basically what I'm going to cover here. We're about to build an AI second brain that knows everything about you, is trained on everything, basically like an AI twin, right? So that's basically what we're going to do. So we're going to be using Obsidian for that. We're also going to be using Claude Code. I'm going to assume I don't know anything about anything, right? To kind of help those that are kind of new to this time around, I'm going to take it really slow so everyone can follow along with what I'm doing. So this is the problem, right? And I'm sure most of you have gone through this problem because I have gone through this problem. It's the amnesia problem. What is the amnesia problem? Basically that you're juggling multiple tools. You're going through Slack, you're going through WhatsApp, you're going through ChatGPT, you're going through Discord, you're going through a lot of apps, and every other day you're focusing on one thing, you're focusing on a new app or a new tool or a new document, and you have no way to kind of centralize everything you're doing. So your whole life is scattered, right? And let's say you open a session on Claude Code or you open a session on ChatGPT. You start chatting with ChatGPT, you tell it about your business, or you tell it about what you want to do. And then like a week from now, you ask ChatGPT, hey, do you remember this thing I told you about? Even if the AI was going to remember maybe a hint of it, it will only remember it faintly. You cannot ask it like, okay, can you remind me what we're talking about in detail, step by step? It's going to fail at that point. So then you might have to re-explain your entire project. You might have to explain your entire style. I also dealt with this issue one time when I was building some content. And then every time I have to tell the AI, oh, don't use this word, don't do this, don't do that. Why? Because every single time the session comes in, the memory is reset, right? And you can have ideas on Slack, you can have ideas on Notion, you can have ideas even on your notepad, right? But because they are all scattered across all these apps, there's no way for them to talk to each other. There's no way for them to actually cooperate with each other, right? Sometimes you also take notes we never read, right? I also used to be guilty of that. I'll take notes, and the moment I close that notepad or the moment I flip that page, I'm not opening it again, right? But now we have a tool, we have a software, we have a way that we can solve this problem, this amnesia problem, which I'm sure 99% of us go through. So one day you're working on something, you go so deep into it, and the next day you're like, what was I working on? There's no way to remember what you're working on in detail, right? Promise is that I'm going to show you a tool that remembers everything, right? So what if your tool remembered everything? You had one app, one system, all your knowledge is in there. I mean, things that you just, maybe some raw ideas that when you were working, you just thought about it, or it could be a client's project that you're working on, or it could be an idea of an app that you've mapped out, but you've not been able to fully flesh it out and fully build all the features for it in Claude or whatever tool you're using. It's really hard to come back to that flow state. It's really hard to connect with that idea the way you had it the first time, right? You could have the idea the first time and maybe 2-3 days, you don't even remember exactly how you framed it. But what if you could, right? What if you put it in a system that knows your entire goals? Even before you told it, right? Even before you even hit up the AI agent, it's reminding you, hey, you remember this tool that you wanted to build? How far with it? Like, are you still interested? I've got some new features. That is what we're about to build. We're about to build a brain that gets smarter every day without you touching it. Because there are going to be some skills I'm going to share with you guys that will not just allow you to store the information, but every day it goes through that same information and finds ways to even optimize it better, right? So That's basically what we're going to do. So the shift is from you managing all these tasks, trying to use your brain as a library, trying to remember everything manually, to your notes, managing themselves, to your ideas, your articles, transcript from videos, even code, right? You can actually use this tool I'm about to show you to make it very easy, right? So Andrej Karpathy, for those of you that don't know Andrej Karpathy, I'm just going to really just breeze through it so you can see it. So Andrej Karpathy, this is the guy. He's kind of like the godfather of AI. Why I say Andrej Karpathy as a godfather is anything he brings to the industry sticks. I'm sure most of you have heard vibe coding. This was literally the person that brought vibe coding, right? So I don't want to go through his biography. He first started off where I knew him was when he was working at OpenAI, before he was able to transition to Tesla and all of that. Maybe in your spare time, you guys search him up. Anytime he does something, it becomes like law, right? If he passes out a new idea, just like auto research and just like other things, other projects he has done, it sticks, right? The AI community always loves when he brings out stuff. For instance, look at this post. This post is already at 19 million views, right? That's just to give you an idea of who this guy is, right? What will I use to kind of break all of this down? I also do this sometimes when I'm probably too tired or too lazy, or maybe the thing I'm saying is a bit too advanced. I just go over to the best tool in the world, right? And that is Claude. I'm just going to ask Claude, can you explain these tweets for me and my community builders? Assume we don't have that much technical know-how, right? I'm doing this for people here that don't really know much about this. So I'm just going to paste it and I'm going to use 4.6, most powerful model. This is from Karpathy. Let's break it down in plain English for everyone. So the big idea is instead of just using AI to write code, Karpathy stopped writing code himself from this year, right? So throughout this year, he hasn't touched a single line of code. And this is someone that has been studying machine learning for over 20 years, has lived in code and died in code. So for someone like this to decide that code is actually the bottleneck, let's shift from that to systems thinking. Let's shift from that to being the architect, telling the AI what exactly you want to achieve. That should tell you that we have reached the AI revolution, right? We have moved on from when AI was making slop to when AI is so good that people that have been in this game longer than we have are not even writing code anymore. But the big idea is instead of him just using AI to write code, he's actually using AI to build a personal Wikipedia, guys. So basically what we are trying to build is our very own Wikipedia. I'm sure everyone has used Wikipedia one time or the other, right? You are able to build your own Wikipedia where all the information that exists there actually fed from you, right? Everything that exists there actually comes from you. So he doesn't write any of these things. AI does it, right? He just dumps his idea and AI is like the librarian. So I want you guys to see the knowledge base. What we're about to build is like a library of all our informations from anywhere in the world, right? Any link, any article you've ever seen, even your school notes, anything. And then you have a librarian. So you give the librarian the books, the librarian organizes it in different sections, right? So that's what Claude is doing for us. So here's how the workflow works, right? So first you're going to collect your raw idea. So what he does is that he dumps everything he finds interesting to a folder called raw. I'm going to walk you guys through it later on. The articles, the research papers, the codes, images, anything you can possibly think of, right? And then when he gets the raw material, right? When he gets the raw information, it now hands it over to AI, right? That I just talked about to compile it. So AI is going to point the AI to the raw material, the raw folder and say, hey, build a Wikipedia from this, build a wiki from this. And AI is going to organize all the articles. It's going to link all the articles. And that's the best part of Obsidian. So AI reads everything, summarizes it, groups them into topic, writes article for each of them. So AI is not just organizing your files, it's actually putting more context to it, right? It's actually like bringing to life the raw idea you had, even better than you had it. So think of it like you have an AI intern, right? And you just give it a bunch of papers and say, hey, read all of this stuff and organize it into a mini encyclopedia for me. So anytime I want to ask you any questions, you've read through all the documents and you've also created your own version of it, right? Your own Wikipedia of it. So Obsidian is nothing more than the IDE, right? IDE is like anti-gravity. It's just an environment where you are able to use the AI and see the code that the AI is generating for you. You don't have to touch the code. You don't have to build with code. You're just going to view the code. Basically, Obsidian is going to be the viewer, right? Instead of looking at code, what you're going to be looking at is actually the MD files, right? Your text files that you've actually put on there, right? It's actually good for displaying markdown and also show you how they're linked together. So he uses it like a dashboard to browse and search through the brain. So just like the brain, right? Everything is connected, like all your memories are connected. So Obsidian actually kind of emulates that, like how the human brain works. What we're doing, we're building a second brain, right? So stay with me, guys. It's all going to make sense in the next part. So once he has created Obsidian as viewer, he then asks it questions, right? So once he has set up the Wikipedia, once he organized everything, for him, he had around 100 articles, which is over 400,000 words, right? So that's just to show you the amount of data and information he has been able to ingest into his Obsidian. He can then ask the AI complex questions, and the AI will research through the answers using the Wikipedia as the knowledge base. So the AI is just basically going to open the books. It's just going to open the books that relate to what you're asking and then answer you intelligently, right? So when he built this, he was like, okay, let me tweak this up a little bit. Let me add a technology that is called RAG, right? We're not going to go into that, but RAG is he's just trying to do the same thing. RAG is basically you ask an AI something, the AI goes to a database or to a knowledge base, or in this case, the library, to read where that information is stored and then come back to answer you. That's why it's called retrieval, because it has to retrieve the knowledge from somewhere before generating the answer. That's why sometimes you ask ChatGPT some specific questions and it's like, oh, I don't know, I'm not familiar with it, or it tries to hallucinate, right? So RAG was a strategy that people use to help the AI not come up with wrong answers and beat his chest and say, hey, believe me, this is real. AI can really be really funny sometimes. But anyways, he wanted to use RAG systems. I've also built RAG in the past for enterprise, but he wanted to use RAG, but then he realized that he doesn't need RAG. Like this thing actually maintains the indexes, organizes it well, and it summarizes each document. So it can actually find anything that you need pretty naturally. So that was mind-blowing for me personally, because I know how sophisticated and I know how RAG strategies can be. What we have is a very simple and easy way to get the information that doesn't really need all these complex ways of getting information, right? So once he asks the AI question, the AI gets it questions and it comes back to it, like you can see. The outputs, right? Any information that the AI feeds you, like the answer it gives you, it actually gets ingested back into the Wikipedia. So when he asks the question, the AI is not just going to answer the question. This one actually creates slides. It can create slides. It can create charts. It can create images. And then it can also save its output so that it enriches the brain more. So just think, I'll let that sink in for a minute. Imagine that every conversation you had with AI, it actually gave you the answers and stored the answers back in the library. So for every answer it gets smarter, right? So that's basically it. So he will often save those outputs back. So every question he asks makes the knowledge base richer over time. So that's like a compounding effect for those of you that are familiar with like compounding. Just by conversing with this knowledge base, it's actually getting smarter. It's understanding you more. It knows more about you. Every answer it's giving you, it's also saving that answer so that it can have more context about you, right? And in fact, at number 4, I was already mind blown with the RAG, right? Because maybe some of you might not really know what RAG is, but it's really hectic. I spent months trying to get the best RAG strategies, but now this simple thing I'm about to show you just solves everything. And then number 5, the answers get back into the Wikipedia. Like, wow, really? So not only do I ask a question, but the answers are getting fed back into the knowledge base. And then I thought that was just it. But the next one was the AI actually runs quality checks. And this part does shut me down, because what happens is that over time, the AI is not only going to store right? The information. But just like a librarian, if you think about it, librarians don't just have the books in the shelf. They go from time to time and say, oh, this book is not supposed to be with, like let's say there's a book about law, but the book about law is in the technological section. She'll take the book and she'll like, oh, let me go and put you where you belong with the books around your topic. That's basically what happens there. So he runs the AI over the wiki like a spell checker for the knowledge. It finds contradictions, filling in gaps using web search. So it also uses the internet to, fill in the gaps. And it spots interesting connections that it missed earlier. So right now, this takes this AI from an AI to sort of like AGI, because the AI can now reflect. It can not only reflect, but go on the internet to get more context to improve its knowledge. And it can suggest new questions that are worth exploring. So it might want to even get better. So that way it suggests you a question that you ask it. So that when it answers that question, it can now be able to enrich the knowledge base even further. And finally, Customs Tools, he built a small search engine that both he and the AI can use to find things faster. So the bottom line, everything he has built, I have it right here on this call. You guys will never have to like stress to, oh, this sounds all complicated. No, like I told you, I'm going to do everything using prompts. I'm going to do everything as easy as I can make it to be, right? So bottom line for builders, right? You don't need to be a coder to start doing things. The core loop is simple. All the work that you need to do, like the main work you have to do, is just to collect stuff. Just get this information. Like for me, myself, when I was a consumer, right? Back when I just used to watch a lot of YouTube content, I would spend hours, over like 5 hours a day watching YouTube. And now I don't actually have to do that anymore. I just get the transcripts from all the videos and I feed it into Claude, right? Or Notebook LM. And it's able to answer everything for me. It's able to do everything for me. So imagine that you don't need to read articles to just get like the little information you need. You can just copy it and save it in your knowledge base. So that's basically what this is, right? So you collect the stuffs, you let AI organize it, you ask questions, and the knowledge base grows over time, right? Even without you touching it, your documents get smarter and stuff like that. So Obsidian is just a window into it all, right? So Karpathy himself says this is a hacky collection of scripts. So what I'm about to show you guys, what I'm about to share with you guys is going to just change the way you see information. So right now, there's a room for someone to build a proper product around this, and someone already has. So the world's top AI researcher already solved this, right? Instead of retrieving from raw documents every time, he lets the AI to build and maintain it. So he just made the AI to be the librarian, right? So he has an interlinked connections of markdown files. So no need for vector database, no need for embeddings, no need for the RAG infrastructure, just markdown files and one instruction. So he now says something that the future of AI is not just about algorithms. If you're a builder, you don't really need to build more about algorithm anymore, but about integrating intelligence into the fabric of your daily life, right? Fostering human-machine collaboration. You have to be able to collaborate with this AI, with the machines, because that's what's going to empower all of us. So why did he abandon RAG, right? The AI is going to break each sentences to chunks, right? And anytime it asks it a question, it's going to discover your knowledge. It's going to look at your knowledge like it's seeing it for the first time, right? And then into now read your knowledge base and use it to answer you. So nothing accumulates. It doesn't get better. It just opens the book, drops the book, answers you, and moves on. Nothing compounds, right? But now, with Andrej Karpathy's way, the LLM, the AI, it's going to read your source once. It's going to write a Wikipedia page about it, and it's going to update it among all the existing pages. Then if there's any contradiction, it's going to flag it. And anytime you ask it a question, it's not going to read your raw files. It's just going to read the Wikipedia version that it created for you. So the Wikipedia is going to be persistent and it's going to be compounding every time. Anytime you ask it something, the brain increases. The answers get more smarter, more intelligent upon every answer. But the part that he couldn't solve back then, because there was no AI, there was no intelligence, was that who does the maintenance, right? Who goes to arrange the books? Who goes to arrange the knowledge base? It was a human, right? And the thing with humans is that sometimes we cannot really be consistent with every single manual repetitive stuff, right? What changed now is that LLMs, they don't get bored. They're always ready to serve, right? They don't forget to update the cross-reference, and they can touch 15 files in one pass, right? There are 3 layers to this, right? Just 3 layers. The first layer is the raw source. This could be your articles, the PDFs, tweets, anything you can copy, right? Podcast notes, even your handwritten notes, right? You never have to organize it. You never have to modify it. The AI, it allows me to be able to be myself. It allows me to be able to bring out everything without wondering, am I structuring the language properly? The AI is the one that handles this. So all these are immutable. The AI reads from them and it never modifies them. Layer 2 is now the wiki, right? The Wikipedia. So the AI now takes all this information and converts them to markdown pages. The AI is literally going to write and maintain this document. You just read it. The AI is going to write it, maintain it. It's going to summarize your ideas. It's going to create entity pages. It's going to create concepts, and then it's going to create cross-references. How do they relate with each other, right? So that's basically what happens on the second layer. Then the third layer is the schema, which is Claude.md, is a single instruction file at your vault root. This is what Claude uses. It tells Claude how your vault is structured and how to behave. So you and the LLM, you and the AI, you co-evolve this over time. So raw sources, right? PDFs, tweets, code, videos, links, anything. The AI takes it, it doesn't touch it. It creates its own version of it that is well written, well formatted, well arranged, and then it uses that to also improve its brain, right? What is the tool stack? Now that we understand what this is and how it works, how do we get this to work? We're going to use Obsidian, right? And Obsidian is free. It works offline, which is the best part. You're not paying to use the tool. Your information is not going to be somewhere on the internet. Everything is offline, right? And then you get a graph view of every connected idea. What do you need? You need Obsidian. You need Claude Code, right? For those of you that haven't installed Claude Code, you might need to install that because this is the librarian. This is the AI agent that reads and writes your files. It is not a chatbot. It's an autonomous operator, right? You don't give it instructions. You just tell it your goal and it goes ahead to do it. And then we have Claude.md, which is the bridge, right? So just 3 things. So one file, one vault root. It tells Claude who you are, what your looks like, and how you want it maintained, basically. Claude reads this before any single session. So anytime you're about to have a conversation with Claude, it reads this information before answering anything you have to ask. That's how it's able to remember everything because it's all tied in here, right? In Obsidian, it's called Vault, right? This is a secure knowledge base and your personal data storage. Claude.md is a co-evolving schema. It's just like a document, just like an arranged file. So it's the most important file that you need to write. That file talks about your vault and everything about it. So it just contains information about who you are, what the vault is for, what lives in each folder, and the rules it must follow. So these are the 3 core operations. Resources. So 3 commands, right? Just 3 commands, and you get infinite knowledge, infinite intelligence. The first command is to ingest. So when you get a raw information from articles or from just typing from your brain, you drop the file and into the raw folder. When you see this, it's like the folder. All you have to do is just drop it to the raw folder and tell Claude, ingest new sources. Or I just dropped something in the raw folder. Can you take a look at it and, ingest it, put it in the vault? So Claude is first going to read it and it's going to write a wiki page about it. It's going to write its own understanding of it. It's going to update the cross-references. That where was it referenced with the stuff that already exists in the knowledge base, right? And then when it does that, it appends it to log. So it has like a way that it logs all its actions so that you can also like trace what it has done. So a single ingest touches 10 to 15 wiki pages. That's what Karpathy said. I'm not the one that said that. So that's the first thing. So it ingests. Then the second thing, you query, right? You ask it a question. So you ask any question, the AI reads the index.md, which is like, I would say, like I said, the index is just how it's arranged. It reads like the drawers, right? It reads like the rows of the library, right? Every library has its own section. Then it drills into the relevant pages. When it finds the book, it drills down to the part that relates to the question you're asking. And then it returns a cited answer. That means it returns an answer and shows you that, okay, this is where this answer is coming from, right? So that's basically what happens. So whatever is returning to you, it's the wikis. I hope you guys understand it already. And then we have the linting part, this is more like the aftercare, right? So Claude scans for contradictions. It scans for stale claims, things that don't really make sense. Orphan pages that are alone. I'm going to show you what orphan pages are when we open Obsidian. It looks for gaps. It looks for unclaimed sources, for things that maybe are not sourced. And then it fills that gap. It goes online to search where that thing was stated or where that thing was, mentioned, right? So this is how your second brain heals itself. You could brain dump something and say, so I saw this thing online about a guy that discovered a way to make knowledge bases better and stuff like that. You gave it a raw source. It understood what you did. It organized it. But later down the line, it can actually say, oh, we don't know who actually was the person. Let me go on the internet and find that person. And then you update it. Oh, that was Andrej Karpathy and stuff like that. So good answers can be filed back into the wiki as new pages. So like I said, any answer that is good, it also makes the brain or the knowledge base even better. So anytime you explore with it, anytime you chat with it, the knowledge base just gets better as we do. So that's why it's like a cycle. It heals and keeps like going. So you put some documents, you ask questions, it answers, and it also heals, right? So this is how your brain gets bigger and bigger over time, just like a human being does, right? Sometimes you learn some new things, you ask questions, and when you ask questions, you get your answers, and you now know your answers, and you can then reflect, right? Like, okay, now I know this, what else should I know? Then you go get some more information, you ask the right questions, and that's just how your brain evolves. So you're literally just creating a second brain. That's why I like to call it a second brain, right? So there are two special files that we're going to touch on. So the first file is the index, right, which is just like the rows, and then the log.md. This is basically like the wiki's nervous system. So the index just arranges each book like table of contents, literally. Just like you open a book, you see the table of contents, you know that what you're looking for is in chapter 20, and you go straight to chapter 20. So this is what is going to help the AI to be able to navigate where the wikis are, right? So it's just like it's every wiki page listed with one line summary, right? So Claude reads this before every query. So if you ask it a question about something, it checks the index to see a one-line summary of the thing and then goes to the book. The second thing is the log, right? So just like every brain, you should be able to remember everything you do, right? So table of contents is more like navigation, right? Log is more like a brain, it's like a timeline, right? So everything it does, every ingest, every query, every self-healing or linting gets one line, like an update, right? And it has a date, it's dated. So that way Claude and also you, whenever you want to check, you can see a full history of every page of how the page got to be. Just like the brain, you have to remember what you had for dinner. Imagine every action you did, you actually recorded it somewhere so that maybe your boss or you, like a diary, can fall back to it. Oh, what did I accomplish today? Right? So that's what makes this brain very active. Not only can it navigate, it can also store all its action. So this works surprisingly well, like at a very moderate scale. Like if you put like 100 sources, you don't need the embedding. So this is what made us to kind of dismiss this, right? It's what made people to dismiss, because this is very complicated, and not that complicated, but it's a lot, right? But with this makes it very easy. So the index, like I said, is a cabinet, right? Like how where each source came from, the concept behind them, the entities and all of that. And then the log is like, okay, I updated this, I did this, the user viewed this, the user asked for this. So this is basically what forms the knowledge graph, right? And you're going to see the knowledge graph in a very short time. If you're able to understand everything I just explained, you understand how to build a second brain, right? And you understand what makes the brain smart, right? You understand everything from the ingesting of the raw folders to the AI now creating its own like version of it and then storing it in the brain. That's basically it. And now I've also gone deeper to show you why that works, why it's able to remember things that it did, why it's able to answer the questions perfectly. This is why, right? I'm going to go ahead and install Obsidian. It works for Mac, for Windows, Linux, and it's free, right? I'm going to make this as simple as possible. I'm not going to use shortcuts. I'm just going to go step after step. So go to Obsidian. If you don't know what Obsidian is, this is Obsidian. Okay, sharpen your thinking. So this is literally Obsidian. I use it on my phone as well. Like you can see, this is the phone version. This is where you save your information, right? As you can see, these are just references. These are books. Obsidian has always existed, right? But now I'm showing you a smarter way to use Obsidian. I'm showing you the way that the pros use Obsidian, the 1% use Obsidian, right? It's normally just a notepad if you think about it that way, but this is what makes it even better. The fact that everything you write is connected. So this is just like the brain, right? This is just how, this is the graph. This is the interesting part. And I'm going to show you guys that in a second. So you just come here, click on downloads, and yeah, you download it. So yeah, I already have it downloaded. Now I'm going to open the app for the first time, and I'm going to create a new vault, and I'm going to name it Second Brain, right? Then I'm going to save it into my documents, which is just a simple place where I can go and get it from. I'm going to create a new vault. It's as simple as that. Give it a name, Second Brain. What location do I want it to be? I'll just click on documents and boom. I put it there and then I click create. And that's it, guys. I have created my first Obsidian. So you see, welcome. This is your new vault. Make a note of something, create a link or whatever. Now, if you look at the right-hand side, this is the welcome. This is the create the link. I'm not going to jump ahead of you guys. So this is why it's better than Apple Notes, Google Docs, because it's local first. It lives on your drive, just like I showed you on my document right now. And it's plain markdown, and the graph view, which just shows the shape of your brain. So when it gets bigger, you see it, right? There are some plugins that we need. We need to have Claude. I already have Claude on my system. So what I am going to do is I'm going to open CMOX. CMOX is just an app I use like a terminal. So guys, if you haven't used CMOX and you use Claude Code, it's a really nice way to multitask because you can create multiple sessions on Claude Code. So sometimes I like to use IDEs, but that's if I'm creating something that maybe needs me to open a code file, because IDEs are good for code files. But if you're using Obsidian that you can use as an IDE for your MD, and we're going to start building it out. I'm just going to type Claude, right? That's the only thing you need to do, just type Claude when you have Claude installed. And then it says, do you trust this folder? Yes, I do trust folder. And yeah, we have Claude running. So I'm just going to say, look into my documents. I have a folder called Second Brain. I want us to work on that folder. So what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to point it to the folder called Second Brain so that we can get to work on it. And now it's asking for permissions. So do you want me to proceed? Yes. It always asks for permissions so that you are in the loop of what it's doing. So we say, yeah, found it at Second Brain. What does it include? The help, welcome, and create the link. What would you like to do in there, right? That's basically it. I'm simply just going to copy Andrej Karpathy's code, Andrej Karpathy Wiki. Okay, this is it. This is the raw file. I'm just going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to say, I want you to create a second brain for me using Andrej Karpathy's method in this text. There it is. I paste it. Simple as that. Let me just walk through. So this is the idea file. As you can see, this is basically it. This is the idea file, right? The core idea. Most people experience LLMs and documents. RAG. It just explains everything, the architecture, everything I've walked you guys through, right? So copied it and sent it over to Claude so Claude can get to work. You can see I'll set up a complete Karpathy styled brain. And the plan is first it's going to create the raw folder, like I told you guys. It's going to create the wiki structure, and then it's going to write the Claude.md, the schema, the instructions for me in future sessions. And then it's going to initialize wiki.index.md. In the wiki folder, it's going to put the index.md, and it's also going to create the log folder. And then it's going to save. I actually told it in this prompt, right, to save this document as the first raw source. Why? Because I want it to have this as a raw source so that you can see how it's going to ingest it and create it. Ingest it as the first wiki entry, as you can see. It's a meta source and it's about the wiki itself. So I want the first document about the brain to be actually how the brain works, right? And any memory I save after that, it's going to remember with this setup. So the AI is saying, okay, this is what I want to do. Should I go ahead and do this? First, it wants to make, this is just command to create like everything. Should I go ahead? I can say yes, click enter, and then it's going to start creating it. By the way, just take a look. You guys just look at this graph as we are building it. So it's creating it. As you can see, it's working in the background. Just keep your eyes here. I want you guys to see something. So it has created the raw folder. It has just created them. So I started creating the concept folder, the entities folder, and the sources folder. Claude is doing all of this. As you can see, this is the claude.md, right? If I click on it, I can read the file. Okay, this is what we're looking at right now. So it's not like a brain. You can actually like zoom into it, right? But we're still building it out. That's why it's still like just a few pieces, right? Because this brain is empty. This is the Andrej Karpathy stuff. If I click on it, you can see it, right? So that's it right there. See them floating in space. All we need to work on is the Claude. So you can see this is the Claude folder and the Karpathy is in the raw. As you can see, it's here in the raw folder. This is basically the only thing I put into Claude, and Claude figured out what I was trying to, right? Now it has created a wiki, right? So as you can see, they're all connected. They're all connected. This document talked about Andrej Karpathy, talked about links, talked about Claude, talked about memex, talked about ingestion of functions, about query, talked about RAG versus wiki. So just this file, right? So you can see how we're able to like bring out everything we've written out into concept. As you can see, it's still building this. We're getting the brain slowly. We see how they are connected. So this is the LLM Wiki connected to Claude. Everything, once I click on it, you see how they're connected. I can click on it and check the folders. So imagine it got this out of just one source. Just one source. And we're not even done yet. So let me just continue. I think it's almost done. It's been running for 5 minutes. It's already fixing things. Now, the first time I probably used Claude Code, I was using it for codes. But now I'm using it for knowledge, right? I'm using it for actual words, natural language. But I'm not even dealing with code in this session. We're just talking about knowledge, which is just to show you that we are slowly leaving the whole coding for the AI, and we're focusing on giving it enough context, giving it enough articles to improve its brain, and so that it can just get better over time. So yeah, I'm just going to let this run for now. While it's doing that, I'm just going to look for something on YouTube. Okay, let's see. Look for something. I want to look for something that's really long, like a 1 hour or something. Or a podcast. Yeah, I think I like podcasts. Okay, so interview with all my codecs. Yeah, all my codecs is a harness for, it's like Claude Code, but with ChatGPT. You see, it's 1 hour long, right? And this is the guy that did it. He's a South Korean guy. Their GitHub repo went like 400K in less than 24 hours. Like, that's how crazy. This is a bit out of context, but there was a leak that happened, I think for Claude Code or something like that. And these guys were able to like use that and create like codex version. And it actually runs on your free ChatGPT subscription, but you just have to figure out how to do the setup, right? A bit of a learning curve. I'm just going to enter it. I'm just going to get the transcripts, click more show transcripts. So I'm just going to copy the transcripts. And then I'm just going to give it directly into the source. YouTube transcript online. I want you to create a markdown file for it and write it directly into it. Then I'm going to paste the transcripts over 1,000 lines, as you can look, like over 1,000 lines, almost 2,000 lines. Click enter. As you can see, this is the entire transcript all the way to the bottom. So Claude already knows what to do. It's going to create the file. So instead of me even creating the file and pasting it, it's going to do everything inside the raw folder. So that's for those of you that are wondering that, okay, how do I put information there? If the information is already on your desktop, on your computer, just tell Claude, hey, look for this folder. If you find it, move it into the raw folder of my second brain, right? It can do that. Or you can actually give it the information if you don't have it, on your system, and say, hey, put this in the raw folder for me. That's basically what I just did. I've been able to create just one folder. If you can look here, just this. This was all I put. And from this raw folder, it created the wikis, right? You can use it for your personal goals and health and your journal. This was not part of the documentation I gave it, if you remember. It creates own wiki. That's what makes this really good. Like, you can put just an idea, just a rough sketch of something in your brain, and it's going to live, came up with use cases. You can use it for reading a book, like a companion, right? Imagine you have a storybook or a novel. You can actually just feed it in there and be chatting with a novel. Okay, tell me spoilers. What happened in this book? You can also feed it your business idea. Okay, name of my business is I serve this amount of clients. You can feed it transcripts. You can feed it competitive analysis of your clients, due diligence. You're going on a trip. You can plan your trip. You can give it your course notes. You can give it your hobbies deep dives. This is just from the source, guys. This is just from the source, right? So this is just like a library. So it shows you, this is the index, these are the sources, this is what is in the source, this is what's in the entity. Because if you check the entity, you only see Andrej Karpathy. So it's just, like I said, table of content, right? And then when we check the logs, this is like a history of everything it has done. So on this day, I created this folder and this. I created the second brain on Karpathy, and I ingested everything here. That's basically, this is the Claude. I already explained to you guys what the Claude MD is. The thing is, you don't even need to even open this platform, only if you want to look for something. You can just ask Claude, and I'm going to ask Claude very soon so you guys can see. So let's check. Okay, I'll ingest this transcript by the schema. This will create one raw file, one source summary, and a cluster of entities, blah, blah, blah. First, the raw file, preserving this transcript verbatim. You remember the transcript, the AI is not going to touch your raw folder. So it's trying to preserve the raw folder, right, in the raw file. Okay, it's still working. So what I was ingesting, let me just wrap it up with the presentation, because I had to just show you guys how it works. At least you've seen how it works, so that's fine. Yeah, okay, cool. So you've seen the 3 folders. You've seen that the raw folder is not being touched by the human and by the AI. And when it breaks, you just have to talk to the AI and everything works, right? So imagine now your voice is actually like your daily notes, your journals, anything that you have, right? You can just paste it in your raw folder, and the AI is going to work on it. It's going to create research. It's going to create summaries, just like everything you guys saw, all from just that text, all from just one document, right? You do your digest, right? Like you see, this is exactly what I did. I put the wiki folder into the raw, and then I told it to, create it. And this one wiki folder gave birth to all of this other stuff that you saw, right? So you might be wondering what the difference between like this. I'm going to run my first query. I'm waiting for the LLM to be done, so I can actually just like ask it questions so you guys can see how it's going to respond, right? So when you ask it question, it's going to go to the raw file. It's going to go to, this. Now I'm sure this now makes sense now that you think about it, right? So if you ask a question, it's actually going to scan through all the relationships to make each answer very rich and very contextual, right? So, and then it starts to fix, this is what we call orphans, right? So orphans don't have connections. Like I mentioned with the librarian, right? The librarian still goes around the shelves, because sometimes people might just put the book in any shelf. So that's how work. Like work is like, oh, let me ensure that I put these orphans where they are linked, right? By the end of the day, this is what happens. It finds where these orphans are supposed to be linked and then connects them to the link. So anytime I'm searching for something, it's going to come here and it's also going to find this orphan. I hope that makes sense. So that's what linting is. Linting is not like the cleanup, right? Just like when the library is closed, the librarian cleans up, right? So we just tell the Claude, link to the wiki. Claude knows what to do, right? Same here. Like if you ask, I think I'll ask this question because we have ingested it so you guys can see. But basically what will happen, the process is when I ask this question, Claude will first open the index.md, the table of contents. to find where it is. It's then going to drill into 2 or 3 relevant pages by going through this method. And then it's going to return an answer with quotes, with sources, and traceable to the raw. Okay? So that's basically how it works. I'm going to send this document over to you guys so you can actually use it for yourself. But yeah, I'm just going to try and respect your time. And yeah, so I'm just going to run through this. So this is how it happens. These are the commands that you give it, by the way. If you give it #today, right? Like type /today in the morning, Claude is going to read all your emails, going to read all your calendars and everything based on today because it has like the dates, right? I'm going to show you how this works in maybe another class. But basically, it is self-evolving memory for me because every time that you ask it a question, it remembers because it goes through the brain, right? It goes through the nodes, right? Because of this system, this thing was built. So because of this, now you're able to have a system that learns and gets better over time. So yeah, guys, that's basically it. I think we've already gone past our time. But yeah, this is also a compounding effect. I'm just going to shed more light. So today is the dumbest that this AI brain can be. If I keep conversing with it, I keep feeding it raw ideas and raw data, and it keeps creating like wiki pages from it. In like the 6 months, the brain will be so to be on God mode, like it will be so intelligent because it knows a lot about me. And anything I tell it, it finds a way to link it with things I've told it in the past, right? So if I tell it that, oh, I'm in a different country, it's going to know how to link everything with the conversations I have. So that's basically it. I'm going to give you guys like a homework. Basically, what I'm just saying is that I don't want you to go after this call and just, go back to being a consumer. I want you to actually take what I've shown you and actually go and install Obsidian. Set up your raw file, set up your wiki folder. Let Claude do it for you, right? You don't even need, normal people will just go and create all of these folders, but I showed you guys the easiest way, right? So set it all up, let Claude do it for you. And in the next 7 days, you have a brain that's so intelligent that knows a lot about, you could just tell it anything, tell it what you do, tell it how your day goes, tell it where you work at. It's going to do the research. It's going to make the brain more healthy, right? So yeah, this is basically it. It's a compounding intelligence. The knowledge builds on knowledge. It gets smarter the more you ask it questions because the questions you ask it, when it gives you the answer, it decides if it should store that in the brain or not. So yeah, I think it's almost done. Let me check. All right. Okay. As you can see, we have a new source, Bellman. This is literally the transcript. So source, YouTube interview transcript, speaker, it got the speaker. It got this is the creator of all my Claude Code and all my codecs. And he's with his friend, he's the interviewer. The friend was not named in the scripts, sadly. And this is the script. So I just ingested a script from a transcript, right? So this is the raw. It didn't change anything. This is exactly what I put. Now the wiki, look at the concept. Concepts have increased. Now we have harness engineering. So now there's a concept about harness engineering. If I never knew what harness engineering was, and I asked it, what's harness engineering? It's the art of wrapping a coding agent, kind of like Claude Code, with strict configurations, constraints, and multi-agent orchestration. So Ingest operation, this was from Andrej Karpathy, right? Deep interview. You can see, so these are different concepts. If I check the entity, now we have Andrej Karpathy, we have Bellman, and this is a brief about Bellman. Bellman is a Korean quant trader. He's actually a quant trader and an open source developer. So it created an information about the person. What did he build? What is his background? How does he view the world? All of this were not part of the transcript, but the AI created that, being the librarian. What is his working style? He dog foods all my codecs and all my Claude Code exclusively for almost all his coding. So he uses this thing to do all his coding. He runs it on open code. Ah, man, like this, I'm going to really enjoy this. I'm going to actually read into it like this. And then Yongu, who is Yongu? Yongu is a developer of open code. Okay, I actually met the person that developed open code, and he's also a friend. What we know, the guy built open code. He disagrees with Bellman on some things, right? I didn't need to read or watch the video to get all of this. So these are the entities. This is about the three guys. And then these are the sources. It gives you a brief about it. It's a long form interview with creator of all my codecs and the most open source, the most starred open source implementation of harness engineering. So this is basically like kind of stuff I would love to watch and listen to, but you could use it for anything, guys. You could use it for a tutorial. You could use it for anything at all, right? You could use it for a course you're learning. And just by dropping that one notebook, you get concepts or the topics in it, you get the entities and you get the sources. And let's check the index. Okay, now, so if you look at the index, now we have two sources, which is Karpathy and which is the Bellman. So this is the first thing that the AI will come and look if I ask it any question. And then these are the entities. These are the people. These are the concepts with one line explanation of it. So the AI can just read the one line and then dive deep into it. See, as I clicked into it, I went straight into the documentation. So this is how the agent would go into it. These are some tools and projects, OMC and OMX, open code. If I click on it, it tells me what open code is, right? It tells me about the person that built it. So it is really crazy. AI employees can be built with any of these tools. And look at Ingest pitch. This is how Bellman pitches the AI employee. He onboards it via Google Workspace. He gives them credentials to Slack. He gives it credentials to Slack, to Notion. It gives it access to all these tools. So that's how the index works. It's just like a shelf. And this is the log. So today, it ingested Bellman stuff. So if you notice, everything is ingest. Maybe I should query it. Maybe I should ask it something. And let's see how the AI agent will respond, right? So it has done everything. So what next? Let me ask you the question. So tell me a little bit about the OMA codex and how it was formed. So it's thinking, it's going into the brain, right? And it's going to use all of this, as you can see, it's not taking shape. So imagine just out of two folders, I was able to get this. And I look at it. Consensus planning. If I even click on Bellman, now look at the guy Bellman. If I click on Bellman, these are the things that involve him. He's involved in harness engineering. As you can see, the other things floating. AI employee, Yongo is his friend, open code. So these are the things that connect him. If I click on Andrej Karpathy, these are the things that connect Andrej Karpathy. So that way you are able to see the things that are connected to each other. And that's how the AI is able to see the things when it's answering your questions, right? So that's basically it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about my codex. See what AI said. Drawing from Wiki, it gave me where it's taking it from and the source page. So this is basically like how he explained it to me. What around the binary actually means, like it gives me how to set it up, things I didn't even ask for, but because he knows that they are related. So Bellman's honest assessment of his own design, he calls it a bad technical decision, and I agrees with this, all of that stuff. So basically, I don't want to really go into depth. So do you want me to file this as a follow-up page? So now it's asking me, do you want me to put this as the OMX origin story or split OMX and OMC into separate concepts and pages so that the origin gets more room? I could say yes. So it's now telling me, I've given you the answer. What do you want to do with this answer? Do you want me to put it as the origin story in my brain? Do you want me to add another knowledge to my brain? Or do you want me to split it so I can have the origin for this one and down? So you see the AI is giving me suggestions on how to improve it. That's how the AI learns. This is like the brain. This is how it remembers things. And the index is how it finds the documents. Just go ahead and play with it. Now you have the full understanding of how it works, what makes it tick, what an index is, what the log is, what the synthesis is. And as you evolve your brain, right, you might not have only these folders. You might have other folders. Let's say I do my personal life, right? I have a personal diary. You can create a folder for personal. Inside personal, maybe my hobbies is going to be there. So it's basically going to evolve with you. Right now, let me just give this last instruction. Lint my vault. So self-heal, clean yourself up. Let's see how it works. Let's see what happens. Lint the vault. Let's see which of these things are going to get maybe patched up or something. And then we can call it a day. This is so cool, like just playing with it. Don't mind me, guys. I find AI very fascinating. So let's see, maybe it might find ways to put this it might find ways to link this that I didn't even know. But I don't think the Claude .md will be linked. I don't know, because it's just like an instruction. It's like it's manual on how to use this brain. So that's what it's doing right now. So it's now looking for the orphans, which you can just see. I would say this is a full Obsidian session because I've walked you guys through the entire process. We've ingested information. We've taken them from the raw to the wiki. That's why you see all of them connected. Okay, the list is complete. 21 wiki pages scan. Find the findings below and prioritize. So these are the high priority. The wiki is 2 disconnected graph clusters with only one bridge. So he's talked about the Karpathy cluster, then talked about this, talked about this, talked about this, talked about this. So it suggested something to fix. So fix number 2. So it's telling me how to fix it. I can say, okay, I haven't also fixed anything by the schema. Do you want me to act on this? Yeah, go ahead. I trust you. I trust you, Claude Code. I'm using Opus 4.6, by the way, their smartest model. And yeah, so let it just fix it because it said it hasn't fixed anything. So this is something you can do from time to time, or you can even tell it that you can improve the Claude.md and say, every time I give you an instruction, lint it after you answer me, or at the end of every day, run the linting. There are different ways to do that. But let's just start with this one first. This is actually the best thing. And this is the best way to, solve that problem that I told you guys about, if you remember from the first part, the amnesia, being able to forget this problem. You're never going to have this, what was I working on thing. As long as you're using your vault, as long as you're pushing all your ideas into your vault, you're never going to have this problem moving forward. It's done fixing some of the things. It's updating the source file. It's cleaning it all up. And yeah, that's basically it. So good luck. I hope to hear cool things that you're doing with your vaults, with your Obsidian. I think we'll do something maybe next Friday. But I always wait for, just like this Andrej Karpathy one, I look for bangers so that every Friday or every 2 Fridays, I'm bringing something that's really trending, that has like 90 million views, kind of like what you saw, and show you how to apply it to your business. And then I could show you how to kind of monetize this, right? We have something that we now understand that 99.999 people in the world don't know, but they need the solution. They need to solve this. They need this problem solved, right? I know my dad will need it for sure, because if someone, he might just open his email in the morning, like, oh, what is this? So imagine you had a second brain that could do everything for you. So that's basically it. So take this information, run with it, guys. I'll catch you on the next time and have some more bangers to share with you guys. So keep building, and we'll see you another time, okay? Catch you later, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Roots. Bye.